Alright, I checked out of Bermuda and now I need to leave within an hour. So first challenge is pulling up the anchor in 20 knots of wind, which wouldn't be too bad, but now there's this boat that's right above my anchor, so I can get him on the radio and see if I can get him to put out fenders or something, because I'm going to be slamming right into him. So we got no response from Sea Breeze, but I'll just stick out some fenders and I'm sure we can get along here. Okay, I got the anchor up. That was a struggle. That guy's boat was right on top of my anchor. I don't understand why he would anchor there. There was plenty of room, but we're free now. I just had to kind of kick his boat back a few times and a few little bumps, but no damage. So I'm off to the Azores. So we're going out this channel. I would like to explore over there. It looks pretty nice. Maybe next time. We're looking at about 1,800 miles for this, 1,800 nautical miles for this trip, and I think it's going to be our actual distance travel is going to be a lot more, maybe over 2,000, because we're going to have to go north and avoid some high pressure systems, and we might even have to dodge some lows that are coming down from above. So it could be a while. I'm predicting 18 days, give or take. I'm nervous, I'll be honest. This is my biggest, it's not as far as the Hawaii trip, but I think it's going to be the most difficult. But I like the challenge, and let's get out there and do it. Off in the distance. Man, rocky start. Good boat speed though, doing 5.5 knots. A little fresh out here. I picked up a pizza before I left. It's my kind of old tradition. When I go on a long trip, just get a pizza for the first day and a half, something easy to eat on, you don't have to cook. So the waves have gotten really uncomfortable. They're hitting us right on the side of the boat, and we just get these breaking ones that come over and they just kind of like push us down almost on our side. The whole combing goes underwater and just the cockpit fills with water. So I'm trying to bear the boat off so we can have them hit maybe from the back, but sometimes they come at a different angle and I don't really want to be out there steering or anything. I can't see what's going on. I mean, well, they're not huge, they're just like, I guess it's the angle they're getting hit at, but a lot of them are breaking too. It's weird. So the wind's just picked up to 30 knots, so I hove to, and we're drifting, I don't know, maybe 90 degrees off our course to the north. We seem to be taking the waves a little better this way though. I think I'll do this overnight, and I think I could sail in this much wind reasonably well. Just at night it's kind of hard, and I just want to get some rest, and I'll deal with it in the morning. I spent last night hove to. I just kind of needed to psych myself up for these waves. I needed a break. We got wind waves coming from one direction and a bigger swell from another direction, because we had strong wind for a while and then it shifted the day I left, and it's making it pretty difficult to avoid having the waves hit us right on our side. I got up this morning and finally dragged myself out of the cockpit and hand steered for about an hour or two. I was able to finally kind of maneuver my way through it. Eventually I got comfortable enough. I was able to let the wind vane steer again, but it's definitely not quite as good as hand steering. I'd say some of these waves are getting up to 10 feet maybe. The camera doesn't do them justice. I think this is that tropical system that was kind of dissipating as I left. It's just above me right now. got drenched. Probably every minute or two, a wave would come in over the front or the back. They're coming from all directions. It's just so hard to steer through them. Pretty miserable, honestly. Just thinking about why the heck am I doing this? You know, I know it'll get better, but I think it's gonna be like this for a few days. It looks like it's clouding up. The rain's coming. There's so many waves coming over the boat. There's seaweed hanging from the lifelines right now. I'm not seasick. I'm just trying to read a book now and let the wind vane steer, but it's really rough. Like, all this stuff just keeps flying out all over the place. There's salt water on the floor coming from somewhere. I don't know. Every once in a while, water even comes in through the hatch. It could get worse, but let's hope it gets better from here. Alright, day number 3. I'm gonna go out there and hand steer for a while because I've been 45 degrees off the course I want to do, just to keep the waves from hitting the boat and knocking us over. I like to get closer to course. I want to see if I can make an adjustment. I think I got the boat back on the course, headed straight into the sunrise. Actually a pretty nice morning. There's only 4 knots. Really liking the Gill foul weather gear. I gotta give them a shout out for sending me this jacket. Really nice. I was getting pummeled yesterday, stayed completely dry inside. Just finished a drift about a guy that's in his ship, his little sailboat crashes, and he's in a life raft for like 70 days or something. It was pretty good, but it kind of gave me anxiety. Being out at sea and having kind of bad weather for the first few days. I had one iPhone cable already fail on my last trip, and then another second one failed on this trip. Luckily, I think I got 10. I got 12 iPhone cables to keep my phones charged. I'll get out 2 new ones. I'm gonna try this Duolingo app. I downloaded the Portuguese lesson, so see if I can learn some Portuguese by the time I get to the Azores. The conditions have really improved quite a bit. I couldn't ask for much better conditions than this on an offshore passage. Waves have dropped down to about maybe a little less than 7 feet, and they're hitting us just on our aft quarter. So it's a little rocky, but it's reasonably comfortable. I got the 4th reef in. I could probably put the 2nd reef in, add a little more mainsail, but every once in a while I do get a gusty little squall comes through with a little bit of rain. I mean, I'm not sure really even a squall is the right word, but it does pick up and it kind of puts us over the rail, digs the rail in, so I don't really want to have to be putting the reefs in and out, especially when it's kind of lumpy water. The waves are coming from the same direction now, which is making a huge difference. I think that was my main source of angst the other day, was just the waves coming in from 2 different directions. They weren't huge, but then they would, because they were coming from 2 different directions, they would stack up a lot more frequently. And you get these big ones that would just kind of lift the boat up and kind of drop it on its side. And by its side, I mean maybe like a 45, not really like on the mast in the water or anything, but it kind of feels like it, and it makes a noise like you're on your side. But right now it's really great. The weather it's just the perfect temperature out here. You know, maybe right at 70 degrees. We got a nice breeze. The Dodgers is offering perfect protection from the little splashes we do get. We just got back from the cockpit. Had to go out and do adjust the course and put a little jib away because the wind shifted. Man, we were taking buckets of water over the front. Today I'm attempting to cook a real meal. I got some sausage grilling up over here, some red peppers, and my potatoes are in the gimbal right now. Trying to keep an eye on everything, make sure nothing drops. It's pretty much a challenge when the boat's rocking this much, but I want to use at least this really expensive pepper before that goes bad. I paid like $7 for that at Bermuda. Well, no scalding burns, and probably 75% of the food hasn't been on the floor. I call that a success. That food hit the spot. Still a long way to go though. It's been raining a lot today, on and off, so I'm staying mostly inside. We're doing, just under 5 knots boat speed, which is perfectly fine. If I can do 100 miles a day, I'm happy. We did that yesterday and the day before that and the day before that. There's so many days to go. I think my mood's pretty good. I had a glass of scotch after lunch. I watched a movie. I only have 5 movies left because I guess my internet wasn't very good in Bermuda to download more movies. And I was planning on practicing my Portuguese a bunch. So I got to Azores, I'd have like some good vocabulary built up. But apparently it only downloaded like the first dozen lessons. So that's a bummer. I feel like I could have got a lot done. I've got plenty of books, so kind of work my way through those. And get a nap all I want and not feel guilty. I hardly see any ships, maybe 1 or 2 a day. And they're 10 miles away. I can't even see them. I just see them on the AIS. Ever caught the first flying fish? Smelly one. I got a little bit of electrical issues. I noticed my fridge is giving me a low voltage warning and shut off, and also the battery was saying the radio was giving me a low voltage. But I'm getting 13 or just under 13 volts on my battery monitor, and my charge controller says the same thing. But sure enough, when I measure my circuits back here, I'm only getting 11 volts across my negative bus and my positive. So I'm gonna go check the actual battery itself and see if that's what's the deal. I've never had this problem before. All right, I traced my problem wire down. It's this guy here. It's definitely hot. That wire is hot too, and the screw is loose. So maybe if I tighten that up, we'll try that first. See if that brings the voltage back up. Tightening up the nut did the trick. Voltages are back to their normal levels. My Iridium Go keeps flying all around the cabin. So I'm gonna mount it on my control panel. It looks like there's a little quarter 20 threaded hole back here. I happen to have a screw that fits, so just drill the hole into my control panel, and that's like a perfect spot for it right there. I can easily turn it on, and I can hook that antenna up there now. And it goes right next to my other satellite messenger. All right, today maybe 4, 5, maybe I think day 4. This is the first day I've had the jibe on the entire trip, including sailing to Bermuda. I was on the starboard tack the whole way before. So we jibed, now we're on the port tack. I put the pole out, the whisker pole, and the jib's all the way out. Keep the main small and tight just to keep from flopping around. We are rocking pretty good. I think the wind's gonna pick up soon anyway. Well, conditions are quite nice today, and it's dry enough to lounge in the cockpit. We're cruising along maybe 3 knots. I think it was good conditions to troll a fishing line. I wish I hadn't thrown those flying fish overboard. Maybe I can walk around and find another one. But I've got some lures, and there's not a whole lot of sargasso weed either. So maybe that won't catch on my line. I mean, there is some, I guess. I've heard you can put Scotch tape over the hook, so I'll try that if it catches on the weed. I'm also gonna pump out the bilge. The electric pumps only get the top half. I gotta come out here, I get the bottom. Takes a while to get it started, but then this thing removes a lot of water. Now it's pumping. Just keeps going and going and going. I took advantage of the calmer weather, and I went up to the front and I pulled my massive 50-pound anchor off. And I'm gonna take it apart and put it underneath the sole down there. I was happy to have this anchor in Bermuda because it was really windy. I think it was worth putting it out, but I don't think for 15-day passage or longer that it's good to have that much weight on the front of the boat. It might not sail quite as good. Supposedly having weight in the ends isn't good. You want the weight to be centered in the boat. The Spade Anchor is also one of the best anchors you can buy. They're not cheap, but they're they got a design which this shape makes them always roll, so the point goes down and there's lead in the tip, so they have all the weight concentrated on that really pointy tip right there. And then this part is hollow, so it kind of keeps all the weight where at the very it comes apart with one bolt, which makes it easy to store, relatively flat. I'm gonna take advantage of today and try to get the boat in really good shape. I felt, well, after like day 1 or 2, after leaving Bermuda, I felt like I hadn't done enough to prepare for this trip and its gravity. Everything just was getting knocked all over the place, but now I have a chance to. I'm going to do what I can. I just found my little toiletry bag, which I've been looking for the past like 5 days because my fingernails are ridiculously long. It's a stupid little thing, but it's been driving me crazy. So I'm gonna get that. I'm gonna go through all these bins and make it so everything doesn't like stops like sliding, banging around. That's probably gonna take all day, and then all the laundry that's kind of soaking wet, I'm gonna hang that outside, get that all dry, and finish up the last few little projects like getting this thing cleaned up, and I'm gonna open all the port lights and clean all those out because when they have salt crystals on them, they tend to leak more. I'll get those nice and tight. We're gonna get this boat the way it should have been before I left, because now we got a chance to. And when it's rocking hard and the wind is strong, I just don't want to do any of this kind of stuff. But right now is a good opportunity, so I'm gonna make myself do it, and I'm saying it on camera, so it will happen. So just yesterday, I was thinking about how this boat didn't have a wet locker, and I have an idea. I think if I just put a hook like right under here, that I can hang all my wet weather gear here. And this piece of floorboard is already pretty rotten. But this was all rotten anyway. So then the water, I'll end up taking that out eventually. But the water will just drain down there into the bilge, and that'll be right there, right easy to get on. Well, nothing's easy to get on when it's really rough, but it will be accessible for going out in the companionway into the weather. I found this hook, just the right size. Awesome. How perfect is that? It seems so obvious now. I don't know why I didn't think of just hanging it right there next to the trash can. There's still plenty of room for the trash can and the stairs. And then of course I have to move it after I get to the engine, but that's not that common. Next order of business is a proper preventer. That's the line that goes from the boom up to a forward dock cleat. See, I'm just using that extra blue dock line right now. And it goes from the middle of the boom up front. Ideally, you might have this a little bit further aft, but I found it I feel like it's too risky having it further back because it could swipe off my solar panels. Maybe the second best thing would be to kind of spread it out spread the load like it does on the, spread the load across multiple points like it does on the main sheet right there. But for now, I just have it in the middle. But what I'd like to do is I'd like to have that line long enough that it can run to the front and then all the way back here so I can cleat it off, and then I can adjust it without having to go forward when conditions are rough. And then when I have to jibe, I just release this end, I move that back here, and I take that end, and that goes on as the boom comes over, I reattach it. So all I have to do is walk a little bit forward to readjust it. I kind of did a similar setup on the Swedish Fish that it never worked great, but see if we can make this better. I do, and I could also add I've got a block and tackle somewhere. I can maybe have a way to tighten it down, but just being able to clean it off is usually good enough because then I can use the main sheet to tighten it up. I just let the sail sheet out further than I want, and then tighten up the preventer, and then shoot the sail into where I just dug this line out. It looks like an old halyard or a sheet or something, maybe a jib sheet. I think this will be perfect. It's nice and thick, and looks like it'll be long enough to run all the way to the front of the boat and back. All right, the fishing line is in the water, so I'll throw that around, see if we catch anything. It actually might be good conditions to fly the Spinnaker right now. I just want to make sure I have everything good to go, because once I get that up, I kind of, sometimes I end up being dedicated to hand steering or tuning all the lines. Eventually I could be hands off of the Spinnaker, but it takes a lot of setup, so I'll make sure I get everything good, and then maybe if the conditions are still holding, we'll fly that Spinnaker. We got some more sausage and taters. Okay, so we're going really slow. We're just under 2 knots and maybe three knots of wind. There's still about 4 feet left over of residual swell or wave action. And it's flapping the sails around, so I don't know if the Spinnaker will even hold up. I had to switch to the electric autopilot, but I figure it's worth a shot. Not much can go wrong in this light of a wind. It's just a lot to set up and put away if it doesn't work. Outside. Okay, that's good. Hired free. No tangles. Outside. It's going outside. Stop banging. Okay. All right. Let's give it a shot. It'll be pulling. All the way to the top. This one kind of tight. And this one. Okay. Got top left, too tight. Not talking left though. Down the hole. Okay. Pull this again. Angle it. That's good. Hey, perfect. Okay. Let's stay open now. This guy, play with this a little bit. So I got the Spinnaker up. It's steadying the boat a little bit, but the wave action is making it flop around a little bit more than I'd like. So it gave us about between half a knot to 1 knot of extra boat speed. I'd say probably closer to an extra knot. We're going about 3 knots now. This is the first time I did this Spinnaker single-handed. It's a symmetrical one, and I went up without a hitch. Eased the lazy guy a little bit, and now it's sitting a little better. It still kind of completely collapses every once in a while. I wish that pole was just an extra like 3 feet longer. I'll have to have Dave help me make one out of carbon fiber using those ends maybe one day. But we're going an extra knot for sure. Sometimes we're doing a knot and a half extra speed, so I think it's worth having out. This is a symmetrical Spinnaker, and I've never actually tried the asymmetrical. I think they're supposed to be easier generally. They have little tricks like furling or socks that make them easier to get out and put away. But you can really get, a lot of times you can get a free symmetrical Spinnakers because people aren't using them, or for really cheap. So that's what I've always done. I've always got them for free, and they're not really that difficult. You just got to take your time and set up all the lines. And I watched a video a few times on YouTube to learn how to do it. The secret is to remember that your pole goes on the opposite side of your boom and your mainsail, and then the real secret is to launch it underneath your mainsail, underneath the boom over here. You launch it from this side. Once it's all the way to the top, then you take the Spinnaker sheet and you pull it over, and that will deploy it and open it all up into the wind all at once so it doesn't get twisted up. And then just kind of fine tune the downhaul. You're going to want downhaul on your pole. You don't necessarily need downhaul for a whisker pole, but for a Spinnaker pole you do want the downhaul. And then you can adjust the downhaul and the lazy guy, which is just the starboard corner right now, the Spinnaker. And then if you do need to jive it, you can take the pole and reattach it, but the wind's slowly picked up, and the Spinnaker's staying open pretty well. But now the sun's getting kind of low, and the wind's kind of picking up, so I think I don't really need to have that. I'll switch back to the Genoa. I'm not quite brave enough to run with this thing overnight yet either. I suspect it'll probably get up to 15 this evening at least, so Here goes the fun part, putting it away with trying to keep it out of the water. I just pull it out underneath the mainsail and back into the cockpit. I'll use the GoPro in case anything crazy happens, so I can have it all documented. All right, one part, trying to get this all in. Got a little wet. So the spinnaker got dunked in the water a little bit just at the top, so I let it dry out and then we'll pack them up for next time. We've been sailing wing on wing all night long. Wind's picked up a little bit. We got the following seas, about 12 knots of wind, making good time straight to our destination. This is the type of sailing that you look forward to. Now that we got enough wind, I can disconnect the autopilot and reconnect the wind steering vane. I think this sail's dry enough to put away. We'll pack it up in its bag so it'll be ready to deploy next time I'm ready to use it. Today's book is Alone Against the Atlantic. It's this guy sails this 10-foot boat from Virginia to England. Pretty interesting. Day 7 on the passage. Nothing too eventful. We've been sailing wing on wing, downwind, probably 8 knots of wind, exact same as yesterday. Overnight the wind died down to maybe 3 or 4 knots, and we only averaged maybe a knot overnight. But now we're doing probably close to 4 knots of boat speed, which I'm pretty happy with. It does look like we could be coming up on a high pressure system and completely losing our wind for up to maybe 3 days, which that's gonna be rough if that happens, but I don't trust the weather that much, so I'm not too concerned about it. I do have a lot of books. I've been reading Webb Childs. This guy has some very interesting single-handed voyages on small boats and Southern Ocean stuff. I'm reading one about where he sailed an open cockpit boat across the Pacific, and it's pretty cool. This is day 8 of our passage to the Azores. This might be the last day with wind for a while, so I decided to take advantage of it and put the spinnaker up. And the wind's still pretty light, about 8 or 9 knots, but that gave us an extra knot of boat speed just to try to get as far as we can before we run into this high pressure system. But you never know, maybe we'll have wind and I'll just be able to keep the spinnaker up for a few days and just keep us moving. It's been non-eventful, just kind of working on projects, keeping the boat clean and organized, napping, reading, listening to podcasts, more of the same. Setting up the spinnaker, of course, takes me like 15 or 20 minutes just to get all the lines ready, because I don't want to have to do it twice, because that takes a lot longer. I didn't catch anything on the fishing pole yesterday, but I'm gonna put the lures back in and we'll try again. This company, Van Top, they sent me their knockoff GoPro, and I actually quite like it. It says it does 4K at 60. Of course, I only shoot at 1080 and 30. But the best thing it has is image stabilization, which you only get on like the last two, I think, generations of GoPro, and it's quite good. It looks pretty smooth. I put it on this really long, it's like a 10-foot selfie stick that one of the viewers contributed, and it makes these awesome shots. They're like not quite as good as drone shots, but it's kind of like when it's too windy to fly the drone and I want to get a similar kind of effect. I can get the camera really far away and it's still stabilized, and I'm pretty happy with this little camera. My primary camera is always my phone though, because it's just the thing I always have on me. I don't have time to go set up these extra cameras usually. These are just for every once in a while I want a special shot that's underwater or like in a risky situation where I don't want to use my phone. I'll use the GoPros for that, or the drone. I installed this the saltwater foot pump down here. It's been great. I wash all my dishes with it, and then I cook things like potatoes and pasta with salt water because I drain the water off after I'm done. It gives it just the right amount of salt, and then I don't have to salt my food, and I don't have to waste my fresh water either. Sausage and potatoes and pepper today. That's the last of the sausage and of the fresh peppers, but I got plenty of potatoes left and plenty of bacon left. And plenty of eggs. Got lots of apples left. And I haven't even broken in the canned food yet, but I'm really looking forward to switching to canned food, but I will when I have to. I put out a second pole on the spinnaker just for this end. And I don't know, I think it might be helping a little bit. It was just completely, it wouldn't stay open at all, and now at least it's a little spread more out. At least it's not chafing as much on the head sail. Should probably find some way to secure that a little better. Okay, so I secured that pole up there a little better, and I got some kind of momentary success. Seems to be staying pretty well open and not chafing on anything. And that pole isn't that well secured, but it's kind of holding it, staying in place right now. Oh, backwinded the main though. Oh no, main's back. Okay, this is the Sam Holmes patented double spinnaker pole setup. It involves a lot of lines, but it kind of works, just not for the faint of heart. There's hardly any wind, but we are doing about 2 knots with my spinnaker creation, and I got the mainsail up as well. I really wish this pole was about like 2 or 3 feet longer. I could really get that spinnaker way out over on that side. I refuse to turn on the motor until there is absolutely 0 wind. And I'm actually looking forward to that period because that's when I'm gonna jump in and go for a swim. I might just dump a few buckets of water in my head right now. It's getting kind of warm. Boat speed is slowed down to about 1 knot, which I think I can swim pretty easily. So I'm gonna go jump in, clean myself off, maybe shampoo my hair, get clean, cool off. It's pretty warm. You can see everything has gotten pretty still. There's just a real gradual little ocean swell, and you can see we're moving a little bit, but I'm just gonna leave the sails up because it's kind of a nuisance to put up and down. Oh, great. I'm gonna suds up and then jump back in to rinse off. Feels so good to be clean. So I think we're out of the Sargasso Sea because I don't see any more of that seaweed, so I've been putting the fishing line in more. See, it's like theoretically there should be more fish around the seaweed, I think, but they would always tangle up in my hooks every like 5 minutes, and so I was never catching anything. But I'm gonna troll the line the rest of the trip. We'll see if we catch anything. Today on Cooking on a Boat with Sam, it's gonna be some pasta and with bacon and eggs. Here's my carbonara masterpiece. Probably could use half salt water, half fresh water in the pasta next time. Especially if you're putting bacon in there, because it's kind of salty. But pretty good otherwise. I'm probably going to be here for 2 weeks, and I have to make these pickles last. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Alright. A pickle a day it is. Well, now we are absolutely becalmed. Might as well just put the sails away. We're just kind of bobbing around out here. I think I might go for a second swim. It's so hot right now. It's like 85, maybe 90 degrees. Yeah, I think I'll go for a swim and then maybe turn on the motor. It's probably good to run the motor every few days anyway, just to kind of make sure it's still work. Water here is at least 3 miles deep, so I'm gonna drop a washer. See how far we can see it go down. Bottom's almost perfect shape. So it's maybe an area where I want to ground a couple times. I'm gonna run the motor for a while, maybe overnight. But I definitely need to change the main belt because I think that's why it was loosening. It's really worn. It's like almost completely worn away right here, and then it's like thicker. It's just yeah, it's uneven. So for this new belt, you can see it's been just tearing itself apart. Does seem to do the trick. The motor is running way smoother than it has been lately. I guess I needed to change that a while ago. I figured out my fuel leak problem. So this was leaking, so I kept tightening it, and then there's a crack right there. So the more I tighten it, the worse it was getting. But I don't think I think this has a vent right here, so I think I can take this and just run it straight into that hole, and that should maybe work. Okay, so now the fuel return goes just straight into a hole here. Definitely not ideal, but better than we had before. Got a whale over here. It's a big one. Where'd it go? There's the whale. Oh, how cool. thank you for watching. At this point, I'm only about halfway across the Atlantic in my little sailing video, so I hope you'll tune in for the next part. If you got something out of the video or it spoke to you, maybe think about subscribing or making a contribution. There's links in the description, but no worries if you can't. I just want to thank everybody who has supported the channel in any way. You guys are what allow me to share these experiences with y'all, and while at the same time like doing what I love, doing my dreams, sailing across the oceans. I'll see you guys next time.